Hey guys, this is a little announcement before the video. This video was originally created for my members area, but I figured I'd give you guys a little treat because some of you guys are in on this too. Post it here publicly on YouTube, and basically, this is all about creating that business, creating that AI blogging business that is going to be able to literally, and I'm not exaggerating, print money here in the future. As crazy as that sounds, this is not get rich quick. This is not an exaggeration. There are certain things that you still have to do to succeed, and I kind of lay those things out here in this video. So this is not one of these kind of videos that's like, a rah-rah motivational video. This is more of like a tactical, skillful, step-by-step video of understanding to be able to create an AI system that will pay you over time. So if you're interested in this video, just watch the whole video. But I figured I'd put it here on my YouTube channel as like a little gift to you guys. But if you want to see more content like this, it's inside of our members area. I'll leave the link in the description, and I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I wanted to go deeper into talking about what I posted last night, and I want to kind of explain it because we're getting in closer and closer to the release of the AI blogging tool, if that's something that you want to get into, which is having a blog powered by AI for you and potentially making money from it. Let's kind of talk about some of the things that we need to really kind of advance in because the time is coming and the AI tool is almost done. And, at most, I would say another 2 to 3 weeks, but probably it'll be finished sooner. And over time, there'll be obviously more and more features, but the main point right now is just getting the content out. Powered by AI, really good written content that is unique and will be picked up by Google. So one of the things that I was saying here is the first thing you have to do, and this will make or break you, is you have to find the right niche. And the right niche is going to really control everything for you from success to failure. If blogging is something you seriously want to get into, like I said, that you don't, and this is rare because this is the first time in history that you don't have to actually sit down and write the blog, where you can actually still rank on Google. Because remember, when ChatGPT came out, even ChatGPT 4.5, people were literally just creating blogs on ChatGPT, copying and pasting them, but never ranking on Google, never really getting any real attention, never really making any money from it, and they're not really building businesses. They just think they can access a cheat code, like I said, by copying and pasting articles, which would never work. Really, it works with deep AI control and AI training. And that's not going to work if you're just using the basic ChatGPT database. Even if you tell ChatGPT to act a certain way or behave a certain way or communicate a certain way, it's still not going to work. You have to be able to provide third-party information, data, tonality, different training, right, for it to work. So if you want to get into this route, the first thing you have to do is pick the right niche. And I gave some examples here of what picking the right niche actually looks like, but you have to have what I call a micro niche. You're not going to be able to go through it with a regular niche or a macro niche. And I gave a few examples. So for example, if you want to talk about podcasting, right? Let's just say you want to start a blog about podcasting. You have to pick a certain topic to begin with. Not from a audience perspective. Your audience, if you had an audience, they would listen to anything. But it's from a success ranking on Google perspective. Because remember, this whole thing is a waste of time if you're not ranking on Google. And we can all agree on that. What good is it to have 1,000 blogs, but none of them make you any money? And remember, when you rank on Google, it's synonymous with making money. Because you're not going to be on Google and not make money. That's just impossible. So imagine I start a blog about podcasting. Instead of just talking about general podcasting ideas, I can start by hyper-focusing on podcast microphones. And the way that might work is maybe my first 2 articles or 3 articles or, whatever number might be higher competition. That's possible. But maybe article after article after article, I finally hit one that's lower competition, right? Maybe I review a certain type of microphone that has a lower competition, and then all of a sudden I get some traffic from that article, right? And then that article, what happens is people are curious about all the other catalog of work that I've done with all the other blog posts that I've created. So now they're of interest. And so people will go from that one article that happens to be a lower competition article, gets attention, and they'll go from that one article to a secondary, third, tertiary, right? And so on type of articles on my website. And that's kind of how it happens, and that's why it's important to have a catalog. Now, once again, I'm telling you to have all these articles, do all these things. I'm not really telling you to go out there and do it manually. Once again, we're creating the software for this reason. But this is not hard to do, but the point is that not every single article is going to be 100% success. Some articles are going to be the successors of others because they lead those others to more traffic by way of that main article. Now, you don't get to choose if one is a main article or not. Your goal is to create as much content in that niche as possible. Once you feel like you've kind of outgrew it, then you can slowly expand to other kind of parallel niches in the same umbrella. But you still have to focus on these micro topics. And remember what we said earlier. What we said earlier was, whenever you think of a niche, do not think of a topic or an idea. Think of keywords, right? So we talked about this in print on demand. We talked about this when we were doing our SEO videos with the SEO software tool that we provided for free. You have to think of a keyword system, not ideas. Yes, for example, podcasting is a niche. And if I'm reviewing certain microphones, right, for podcasting, that is also a niche. And it is a micro niche. But really, if I, for example, review the Shure SM7B, that is a niche in and of itself because of the amalgamation of those certain keywords. So if I provide different keywords, like review of the fee-fine microphone or podcasting microphone, condenser microphone, now I'm adding different keywords that is also a different niche. Now, topically, it's the same topic. We're reviewing podcast mics. But the niche is different because the search demand will be different from keyword to keyword. So people think a keyword is just one word. Remember, it's a string of words or a string of words put together that makes a keyword, also known as a keyword phrase. So different keyword phrases are different niches, but they're under the same umbrella. And this is the difference of thought between somebody who is an amateur in SEO and someone who is advanced. They look at keywords as if every keyword set is its own niche. And some niches are more successful than others, which is why I say whenever you find a successful niche or a successful keyword string, you double down. You create alternative content for it that can help you get more attention. And obviously, in this case, it would all be done through AI. But once you find that micro niche, you have to sit back and really think, okay, how am I going to monetize this? And you can't think of the normal, AdSense kind of way. Like people say, oh, I'll put ads on my website, which is fine. You can put ads on your website, but that shouldn't be a thing that takes a lot of mind thought or a lot of mind processing. Once you think of the idea of creating an ad, that's it. It ends there. You have to think of a real way to monetize. For those who don't know, ads kind of make about 5 to 10% of a website's income, as opposed to like a YouTube channel. AdSense makes up 50% or more of that YouTube channel's income. So blogging, because it's educational and informative and it's really written through content, when people look for their information and they find their solution, they bounce off, right? Which is why I say, for a blog, your ads are going to be about 5 to 10% of your income. When they find their solution and they bounce off, where do you think they're going? They're going to find the product that solves that problem. And you have to have your articles and your AI, and you'll see this when we jump into the AI tool. It has to be trained in such a way for it to understand that, hey, this is the product I'm pushing it to. So you have to sit back and you have to really think, what product am I pushing my informative content to? Sometimes it's not a product reviewing business, right? Because if it's a product reviewing business, picking the product is quite logical and quite easy. You're reviewing microphones, so therefore the product is microphones, and therefore you'll be an affiliate for all those different microphones, right? That's just logical, that's easy, anybody can figure that out. But there's some niches where the product is not readily available, and you have to create the product. So let's use this micro niche, for example. Psychological manipulation. If you are teaching people about manipulation. You want to, teach them about dark psychology, things like that. What are you going to do? There's not many products out there on that. You might have to create a product. You might have to create a course on that. You might have to create something that people can purchase so that they can, direct their problems towards a solution. And the way that works is you're marketing your product as the solution. Now, what we're really talking about is we're just talking about the crux of any business. Any business has a problem, and they provide the solution to that problem. So, for example, if you're into watching sports, what's the problem? The problem is that you need entertainment. Sports provides entertainment, and that is the solution, right? So, any business in any angle provides solutions. Sometimes the problem is a need. Sometimes it's entertainment. Sometimes it's a want. There are different levels of problems, but the point is that your micro niche is going to solve that. But you have to sit down and truly think. The next step is, what product am I going to either create or access to via affiliate marketing to be able to make money? How am I going to monetize this micro niche? After you do that, then it comes down to the AI training. The AI training, and I'll just pause my screen recorder here so we can get into the application. So right here is our application, right? And we go over here to our website data, which is where we can do our training for our AI. And we click on the website, and if you notice here, we can add screenshots. We can describe what those screenshots are to our AI. We have transcriptions. So transcriptions are voice recordings that are turned into text, and these help with training information and tonality and all kinds of different things. So we add those, and we describe them if we need to. But here's a different example, right? So here's a live example of those different things that I've added. So here, for example, I have a file, right, a text file of all the different features in the product that I'm promoting, which just so happens to be that YouTube software that I created many months back, right, or a few months back. Or this software, this file right here is like a 1 hour video, or like a 40-minute video that I recorded with my voice, my tonality. I took the transcript of that and added it for transcription purposes, right? So it's tonality training, right? And then here is another video about a thought logic training, right? So it doesn't matter if it's in the tonality or transcript or whatever section, but the point is that this is training for the AI to understand my point of view. I couldn't do this within a chat GPT. I couldn't give it all this level of training. Like, this script alone is something like, I don't know how many pages, 50, 40 pages. I was speaking for like literally an hour straight, and all of that's text on a text file. If I gave that to ChatGPT, they could really only deal with a portion of it. They're not going to be able to use it every single time to create content for me. But when I add more stuff, I add, for example, another video script. I add, all the features to my software. Then I explain what I want it to do, right? So I want it to maintain this ideology that it has to sell my product from a psychological standpoint. I give them my product link, and now what the AI, when it writes its articles, it's going to hyperlink my product link in the articles. So, for example, if I have a bunch of affiliate products, that's fine. It will hyperlink them. Notice how I left this affiliate link section blank, right? But effectively, I inform the AI on what the tool does. Now, this training, in my opinion, is not enough. This is, like I said, I think I said this in a video, but this is like an hour worth of training, because this one is like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then we have like another 15-minute video, another, so the features of the software. We need more training. I think 6 to 8 hours worth of training is the sweet spot to start writing really good blogs where the AI completely understands what you are and what you want, and what features and all these kind of different things. But something that I could do to improve that article writing, right, or that AI training, is add screenshots of my product, explain what those screenshots are, so that the AI can then use those screenshots in my article. So imagine how realistic that is when you basically hire someone, in this case an AI, which AIs have pretty much higher IQ than human beings now. When I hire somebody with a phenomenal IQ to write articles for me that can utilize screenshots that I add, that can understand the way that I speak and mimic it, right? That can do all these different things, but also using the information that was never on the internet before that I've added to it, which is that uniqueness, right? Adds it to it, and then it creates the articles for me. So this is AI training. And once again, if you think that you could do this with, like, for example, a ChatGPT or something like that, you just can't, because you need to have more data, and ChatGPT doesn't allow you to add infinite amount of resources as data before it creates the output effectively. So the more the more data that I provide to the software, it will understand every requirement that I could possibly have, and it could mimic essentially all my thoughts and my ideas. It then takes that and puts it into the output of an article, and then that's the amalgamation of these articles over time. The nice thing about all of this is that, once again, after the AI training, it all becomes then AI powered. So what is the human bottleneck here? What is the thing that's going to stop people from succeeding and help people to succeed? It's two aspects. And if you've been watching this video and you're paying attention, you'll know it. The first aspect that makes or breaks you is, once again, picking that right niche, picking that perfect niche. And we kind of talked about how that is and what kind of requirements, but at the very least, it has to have some level of demand. It doesn't have to have a tremendous level. Remember, because we're not focused on how much demand it could bring in. We don't want to get greedy and say, oh, this niche is so good, it brings in 5,000 visitors a month, I'm so excited about it. Most likely, the smaller the niche, the less demand, but the less competition as well, most likely. Now, you have a golden niche where it could have a lot of demand and low competition. That's a completely different world. And over time, it will surely have competition. But the best thing you could do for yourself is find a niche that is lower competition. Once you find that niche that's lower competition and it has some sort of demand, somebody's interested in it, then you know you can make money from it. And that's the first thing. That's the first bottleneck, picking the perfect niche. The second thing is being able to effectively train that AI tool to be able to fully understand anything and everything that you want. And you could take transcripts off of YouTube. You could, whatever you need to do to make that happen, you do it. And you train the AI and you make sure it has this normal and natural feel, almost like it's a human being. And once again, with enough training, it could absolutely do that. And also, it could be very technical. So things like hyperlinking, right? Things like adding those links to your article, adding screenshots, describing what the screenshot is, doing all these necessary things for an SEO to succeed, the technical SEO, keyword density research, finding the right keywords, all these kind of things for your article, the AI can do that. Okay, so if we go back here and we go into our writer here, our writer is responsible for actually writing the content. So look at how many settings we have, from the balance of length of each section, to the type of article, to keywords, what type of keywords, primary keywords, conversational keywords, right? To different types of things that we can select. For example, do we want to include statistical data in our articles? Do we want to include block quotes? And these are automatically checked off. You can check them on, check them off. It doesn't really matter. They serve different purposes. Obviously, if I'm doing a first-person article, then I don't need to have, certain things here. But there's different things that you check off. It's very, very intricate. We've been working very hard on this. And you are very, very specific with your requirements in your article. And then it's created. So, like I said, first bottleneck is picking the right niche. Second thing is training. And then you let the AI do the rest of the work. And one of the things that I want to talk about in terms of training is you have to be able to train your AI to masterfully sell. And masterful selling, or getting a conversion, and we talked about this in the campuses, so you can go watch the content in all the various campuses, whether it be the affiliate campus, copywriting campus, all these different campuses. You really have to find the reason why somebody would buy, whatever it is that you're selling. It could be an affiliate product, like I said. It could be a ebook. It could be whatever. So that example about the French Drain ebook that I talked about, that was a $100 ebook, The reason why somebody would buy that ebook is because installing a French drain system can cost thousands of dollars in your home. It could literally cost thousands. I'm not exaggerating. 10, 20,000 depending on the size of the home. But a lot of people don't have that kind of money. So they would much rather learn it and slowly do it themselves, even though some people aren't capable, but do it themselves to their best of their ability to try to waterproof their home, as opposed to losing the entire home to water damage, or paying some guy 20 grand to do it and being indebted to that person and the fear of them not doing it properly. So it's a very real fear. So somebody logically sits down and says, okay, I'd much rather pay $100 for this ebook, and that would be a safe investment, as opposed, and learn everything I need to know, as opposed to hiring somebody that could put me in debt and not fix the problem. That's A. Or B, fix the problem and put me in debt. Or C, never have it work in the first place. So the key here is, whenever you sell a product, you have to understand, why would somebody buy it? They're not going to buy a product because you're a nice guy or they think you're funny and you're interesting, you know? They're not going to do that. You have to really sit down and say, why would they purchase? What is the thing that will move them? And you have to train your AI based on that, right? So, for example, let's say YT Studio Pro. YT Studio Pro, and I'll just pull it up here, YT Studio Pro is not cheap. It's $50 a month. There's other, YouTube softwares, research tools that cost $5 a month, $10 a month. But the way I look at it is, okay, I'm marketing to a group of people who are tired of the cheap tools that don't provide results. And one of the ways that I can sell it is I can educate the consumer on how different our tools are and what it does differently. That's one of my angles. And this is another thing. You have multiple angles. So, for example, in that French drain system ebook, right? What are the different angles? The first angle is, you might hire somebody and they might not know what they're doing and they might scam you and ruin your home. Okay? That's the first angle. The second angle, potentially, could be that with the French drain system, is that my home is going to be permanently damaged if I don't install this system. So I need to do it anyway. That's a second angle. It's a need. And these are different angles that you could take when you're selling your product, once again. So it depends on what product you're selling, right? Third angle could be, I'm tired of getting scammed by different companies that do waterproofing, to the point where I see their reviews online and I don't trust them. I see that people are giving them bad reviews. That's a third angle, right? So there's different angles, and you could sit down and write them with a paper and pen. And then once you figure out that information, you provide it to an AI tool, or the AI tool in the writer, right? And it will do that for you, and it will write that content for you based on those angles. When that consumer sits there and reads your article and they have a real problem and you're providing a real solution in product form, you're not scamming them. It makes sense to them. They sit down and they think logically and they say, okay, this is a real solution to my real problem, and I'm willingly and happily pay for it so I can come out of this problem that I have. And once again, every single niche has a problem. You just have to figure out what those problems are. Sometimes the problem is as simple as entertainment. People like to be entertained. But sometimes the problem is something much more analytical, much more semantic. So it differs. But effectively, everything that I'm telling you now is what will lead to a successful blog. So you have two choices, right? You can go out there and manually type it and manually do it, or you can use AI to make it happen for you. All right? So I have a lot more work to do. I have to do some more training on my AI, keep working, playing with the settings, improving things. But that's essentially where we're at currently. And, just working on things, all right? I'll talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video was extremely helpful. And I'll see you soon. All right? Peace out. Bye.